All right.
Okay, so first, you introduce yourself. So firstly, your full name, your school,
Mhm.
and how many years teach. You've
All
taught.
right. Okay. Thank you. My name is Nick Nur Laili, but I'm fondly known by my students as Teacher Laili. And I'm now currently teaching in SMK Dato Ahmad Mahir. And I have 33 years teaching experience actually. All right. So I
So,
think that's about all.
so first question is, how do you typically use rewards in your classroom, and what types of rewards do you find most effective for motivating students?
All right. So basically, I use reward in school in my classes in this two situations. Okay. First is when a student finished or completed their task. Okay, in my case, normally when students hand in or submitted their essay, okay, and in another situation is I use reward when students do well in write a good essay or do answer questions, get good marks in grammar or comprehension tasks. Okay, so that those are the two times or mostly I give them reward and I find most effective which actually is I cannot answer that one directly because it actually depends on the student's age and all, but I would say with younger students physical rewards such as you give them something, a token, that will be more effective with younger students. Whereas with older students, like the Form 4s and the Form 5s, I think they would prefer if you just like more like you praise them or you mention their name as a person who get the most marks for certain tasks, or you read their essays because it's good. I think for older students, that works well compared to for younger students. They would prefer to have something physical like candy or something like that. Okay, hope that answers the question.
My second question is, how do you determine which rewards or punishments will be most effective for your students?
Like I said just now, it depends on their age. Okay, so and also I think if I compare SMK Dato Ahmad Mahir is a good school where we do not have lots of discipline problem and most students would do the task given to them. I think that and most students come from I think in terms of economy, most of them their families are wealthy or well to do, so I normally find that I would just praise them or something like that would be good to them already. If I praise them or if I mention people who got the highest mark, that would be okay. So that depends on their also for the age. I think that determines what kind of reward I would give for younger students. That I mentioned also, I would give something physical like a pen or candy or just some money, just to treat them to yeah, mihun soup in school at school canteen. That will be good for them. Okay, but I think I have taught in other schools where the students do not come from a wealthy family, most of them, and they I think prefer more physical reward, like some money or sweets or food. Okay, that's what determine. I mean, which school and also the age.
Next question is, have you observed any differences in student engagement or motivation when using rewards versus punishments, and could you give examples?
Yeah, I would say, of course, because I don't think students like punishment. So I would say if they are engaged in in the class, in your lesson, if you punish them, it would be mainly because they are scared or they don't want to be punished. That's all. but I don't think it will be long lasting. Whereas if you praise them, I would think it lasts longer, because when you praise them, I think they will remember it. They will remember things like, oh, teacher has read my essay, and maybe next time I'm going to write a better essay so that teacher would read the essay. So I would say a reward would have a longer effect on the students' engagement as compared to punishment.
Next question is, in your experience, do rewards or punishments have a more lasting impact on students' behavior?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, like I said just now, I would say reward has a more lasting effect on the students' behavior. Whereas for punishment, they would do it because they are scared of you, or because they don't want to be punished, because yeah, students don't like to be punished. But I would say if you give them reward, they will remember it, and they will ask you, if they do good in the class. If you do not give them reward, they will ask teacher, do I get sweets for this? Things like that. So yeah.
Next question is, how do you handle situations where a student becomes reliant on rewards to stay motivated?
Okay. I would say we should vary the reward, and we should insert element of surprise, and we should not do it all the time, so that the students would not rely on reward to get motivated. For example, sometimes I do give students reward, but some other times I don't give them reward in terms of giving them sweets or something. I say, oh, that's good that you have done this. Okay, so I think in that situation, what you should do is you should not constantly give the same reward all the time. You should vary your form of reward, so that the students would get over reliant on the reward to get motivated.
Next question is, have you found that certain types of students, for example, their age differences, personalities, or learning styles, respond differently to rewards and punishments?
I would say actually, yeah, age, yes, but I don't, because most students, I think, personally, the students are almost the same in terms of personality, but age would be, for me, age would determine mostly what kind of reward I give and how they respond to it. Most of the students like it, and they would just, they would be happy, and you as a teacher would be very happy to see them. You would be satisfied. In terms of personality, I think sometimes, this is not in Ahmad Mahir, but in other schools, I noticed that if the student or if a person is constantly being punished at home, then your punishment to them, they would, they would not, they're not scared of, and they don't care if you punish them or not. There's no reaction. And if the student is constantly, punished at home, so it's sort of, they are used to it, so they don't, it does not give any effect to them. Okay, but in Ahmad Mahir, I would say that most students, they don't like to be punished, because they are mostly good students, and I think most of them come from a background that is, they are like mostly happy family, or at least they are family are well to do and things like that. So they don't like to be punished. That's all. So I would say students of different age would react differently to the punishment or the reward. But actually, for reward, I think most students like it, and they just love the being, if you mention their name and things like that. So they just sometimes, to give you an example, sometimes I would, let's say there are 40 questions. I would ask the students who get 40 over 40. And sometimes there's nobody gets 40 over 40, but the students, because they want me to mention their name and congrats them, they would say, okay, teacher, why don't you ask 32 over 40, things like that, so that I would mention their name. So they all love to be rewarded. But in terms of punishment, I would say in Ahmad Mahir, most of them, they don't like punishment, regardless of their age or their family background. But I think in some schools, punishment does not work also. Depends on, the student's background. All right.
Next question is, how do you think the relationship between you and your students influences the effectiveness of rewards and punishments?
Yes. I would say that affects a lot because somehow the students, they know which teacher is actually very strict, and which teacher is lenient. And I think I am in the second category, which most students would say that I am lenient, and they would say, oh, teacher Laili will not punish us or something like that. But actually, what I did, I would just share with you the type of punishment. I think you know also that when I punish them, I would uh, I don't believe in physical punishment, so I don't normally do things like hit student or ask them to stand outside or things like that. Because if you punish students that way physically, you have to after that justify to them why you did that. You should not leave them just like that. But for me, I would already in the first lesson, I would tell the students that if you do not finish the task, you will end up doing it more. So most students know that Celali has this essay, berbunga, flowery. Whereby if you do not send your essay on time, you will have to send 2 or 3 essays. So I tell the students early in the year that is what will happen. And I find sometimes students, they already prepared extra essays, so if they are late, they will just send the essays to me. I think that is the kind of because of my relationship to them, I am normally close to the students, so they know, and they already know that is the punishment that I'm going to give them, so they sort of anticipate it. So that I think is the effect of somehow if you are being a teacher for too long uh, with this, and you have this kind of relationship with the students, they sort of would anticipate that, okay, Teacher Laili would be angry in this situation, but she will not be angry in another situation, and Teacher Laili would not hit us in any situation. So I think yes, the kind of punishment, the kind of reward or punishment, that it does affect if you depends on your relationship with the students. I'm normally close with my students.
Next question is, have you noticed any differences in how students respond to rewards and punishments over the school years?
For this one, over the school years, you mean from early the same class from the earlier early of the year and then end of the year, or some, is it something like that? Or you mean since I started teaching, or is there any difference between the reaction of the students before and now? Is that
Since
what you mean?
teaching.
Sorry.
Since, since teaching.
Oh, since teaching. All right. Um, as yeah, before this, I think most students are, when I was in school, most students are actually used to punishment, because when we were in school, our teachers are strict, and they can just use, uh, they can hit us, they can, uh, even some schools have public caning and things like that. But over the years, I think when we go for teacher training, we were taught to, if we want to punish the students, we should justify why it is done, and we should of course tell it, so that the students know we do not hate them, but we actually love them, and we are trying to teach them. So I think over the years, teachers nowadays do not punish as students as much as teachers in the olden days. So most of them are used to now used to praise students. I think give reward to the students, and I know some teachers, and nowadays teachers do not. I mean, hit the students or things like that, because I think one is, of course, when we are in teaching college, we are taught to, to give them more reward instead of punish them. Okay. And also, I think nowadays parents are, quite defensive of their children. So, yeah, we should not touch our students, get physical in any way. So, I think over the years, yes, students now, I would say, of course, would be, some people would say, less resilient. But I don't, as in cepat koyak students nowadays, because they have their parents to back them up. But for me, I would say, because we are in, different era. So what we experienced when we were in the 70s or 80s is, of course, not applicable now. I think you should not punish the students. I don't punish the students anymore now. More than necessary. Yeah, and if I punish them, I would, you know, find a punishment that would actually benefit them. For example, right, more essays. At least it will benefit them, even though there might be, uh, they might be, tired a bit because they have to write more essays. I hope that answers your question.
That did answer my question. Now, my next question is, how do you address situations where rewards and punishments seem to lose their effectiveness over time?
Yeah, okay. I must admit, sometimes at the end, especially at the end of the year, students are used to my, asking them to write more essays and things like that. And also, but I think sometimes you should vary so that it won't lose effectiveness. You should vary your kind of reward and also your punishment. Sometimes if instead of asking the students to write more essays, you might ask them to write them in the class itself, and to finish that, sometimes during the given time. So if you vary your reward and your punishment, I think it won't lose its effectiveness. Okay, and I think you should insert element of surprise sometimes, so that the students will, uh, do expect, if they they do not expect something to happen, then I think they would, give a different reaction. So I think that one would be helpful, so that the students will be, if they are too familiar with your type of reward and your type of punishment, then it will lose its effectiveness. So what you have to do as a teacher, I think you should vary your reward and your punishment, so that you should have a few ways to do it, so that they would, lose the effectiveness over the time.
My last question is, in your opinion, what is the ideal way to motivate students for sustained engagement and long-term learning?
Okay, so this one I think goes back to what you call intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Okay, so I think intrinsic motivation is something that comes from within themselves. Okay, so for this one, I would say you have to aim for the students to be doing something because they want to do it and not because you forced them. So I would say an ideal way would be something that is not physical, as in giving candies and things like that. It's more of you motivating and encouraging them. Okay, and I think this by the time the students are in Form 5, Form 4 and Form 5, I would find they are more motivated to do things because they know that they will be sitting for a big exam that is SPM. So they would try to do things to be better. And for this, I think what the kind of reward or that we would give would be more of praising them and encouraging them, and they would really like to know how they can improve. So I think it's more of uh, reward that is in the form of encouragement, and also in the form of motivation, would be longer lasting, and also it would be more effective rather than just giving them physical things like a token, like candies. Okay, and I also think that that the Form 5 and the Form 4, the bigger students, they would appreciate more if you encourage them and tell them how to improve. Okay, that's what I think. So that's the most ideal way with the bigger students is for you to motivate and encourage them. So once in a while, you should praise and call them, and and talk to them, give them motivation individually. So that's what I think would be effective.
So our teacher dah habis dah. So we can end this now. Thank you so much, teacher, for lending